Hello everyone, welcome to the Evil Empire. I'm your host, Evil Empire, and this week on the feature, it's Abzan +1/+1 counters. So this is a deck that I found on the magic.gg decklists website of decks that have gone 6-0 in ranked play between the ranks of Platinum and Mythic. So somewhere in the Platinum, Diamond, Mythic area, this deck ripped off 6 in a row victories. It's not too difficult to imagine that this deck can get wrecked by board wipes very frequently. However, we don't see a lot of board wipes in best of one. So what we're more concerned about maybe are opposing creature decks that get in a little bit faster than ours, although I have had turn 4 kills in this deck if you really have the nut draw with 1 or 2, preferably 2, of either Winding Constrictor or Conclave Mentor. You can just start beating down with some 9/9s and some 10/10s pretty casually. These creatures get big quickly. Combine that with something like an Oran Reef Ooze. A Luminarch Aspirant is a little bit slower, but same idea. We're just trying to stack as many counters as we possibly can. So I am playing the stock list from the website. This was, I think, the December 7th deck dump. And it runs a Collected Company set of all 4 of these, something where you're trying to basically hit really the Mentor or the Constrictor off of the Collected Company. That's really what you're going for here. Obviously, if you already have those cards out, you'll take something that's going to stack counters for you, but regardless, this is the way that we're going to try to really get our opponent behind the 8 ball quickly, is by, for example, one time I had 2 of these in my hand as I was playing the deck this week, and on turn 4, I played one of them at the end of their turn, and then to start their turn, to start my turn 5, actually, I ended up casting another one to see if I could hit like maybe a Rishkar or an Oran Reef Ooze or a Bois, well, obviously not Bois Lieutenant, sorry, but trying to hit something that would put counters on itself, like maybe a Grakmaw is another better example, because it actually will hit off of Collected Company, where this is our one card that will not. And that way to just like add a little bit more to our board before attacking. And so that's a pretty devastating move if you can ever pull off 2 of these, like end of turn and then again to start your turn, and just really add a bunch of power and toughness to the board quickly. So cool thing about Grakmaw, he has a lot of text, but basically says that he gets really big when our Conclave Mentor and our Winding Constrictor are out, and he gets even bigger when other creatures with +1/+1 counters on them die. Most opponents do not know about that middle line of text. That's probably the one that will get people the most, is that Grakmaw can increase in size pretty easily, especially in this deck, because almost everything puts counters on itself. Rishkar as a one-of to ramp us a little bit and give us a couple more counters on our creatures. Oran Reef Ooze is a really powerful card in this deck if you get to attack with it, although obviously it's only a 2/2 and it has to live through our opponent's turn cycle in order for us to be able to attack with it. But still, if you can attack with this, it's absolutely devastating because, again, everything in our deck will have a counter on it, or almost everything. Luminarch Aspirant is a really core contributor to the deck, and along with Winding Constrictor and Conclave Mentor make up our 2-drop suite. These 2 cards being together in Historic for the first time with the release of Kaladesh Remastered back in November. This was a deck that a lot of people considered building, but couldn't quite tune it correctly, and certainly I never thought to add Collected Company, which I think was a fantastic idea. But I imagine if I went back through my theory craft from Kaladesh Remastered, I had something that was based on these 2 cards together, and then it's just kind of a matter of what do you collect around it. So for our Collected Company, we have a total of 31 hits, 31 creatures that we can hit off of it. Ideally, we don't want to hit Stone Coil Serpent unless we have a Mentor or a Winding Constrictor, maybe even more than one. Because if we pay 0 and it enters with 0, it's just going to die off of the Collected Company. But if we have something in play, it will enter the battlefield with that many extra counters. Like, so let's say that we have a couple of these out, like we have 1 Conclave Mentor and 1 Winding Constrictor. This enters, even if we pay it for 0, this enters as a 2/2, because each of these are going to add 1 to the respective totals. So that's kind of how this deck is going to function. We're going to look to just build a huge board and hope we don't get wiped by Wrath of God, because that would really ruin our day in this deck. No card advantage engines to speak of, just trying to go full bore into the opponent's life total. I guess you could say that making the 2/2 off of this is a bit of a piece of insurance for board wipes, but the reality is you have to have a pretty big board of +1 stacked up creatures for this to actually matter. Alright, so we're now going to take Abzan counters into the historic ranked queue and see how we fare. Yeah, this is tough because we don't have any black. Really want, or we don't have any white rather, we only have black. Really want to be able to hit the Luminarch, but we are going to get a draw because we're on the draw. So yeah, I guess Grakmaw is probably good enough that we could keep this hand. Oh, great. Oh, we drew the... Wow. Okay. So they're probably going to shock this, which means we should go for the Stone Coil. Do we care about losing the... No, I don't think we care about losing the Belt Collector. Now, if, dear viewer, you notice that things are a little bit better this week from a technology standpoint, we're not dropping as many frames, that would be because I have upgraded my equipment today. And so, things are a lot smoother. Now, unfortunately, we can't actually attack here. Can't we though? They're never gonna block. Not in a million years. Alright, so Wily Goblin? No, War Chief. Okay. Attack for 4. No block. So we're gonna go Shockland. Feels bad. Grakmaw. Next. Put the counter, I guess, here. Doesn't really matter, I don't think. And then next turn play a 4/4 attack for a bajillion D. Oh, Krenko's bad. Okay, we lose now. Man, Krenko is just like insta-lose for so many fair decks. Okay. Sort of weird. Well, that is an interesting card, isn't it? I mean, we're dead anyway, right? So, might as well just have some fun. Okay. Set up Shockland. Because who cares? Bosley's Lieutenant, because, again, doesn't really matter. We're dead as doornail here. Yeah, let's put one here so they have to double if they're gonna kill it. Okay then. And now we lose. Losing to Krenko. Oh, they're gonna hit us with the Muxus as well. How exciting. Yeah. This is why people complain about this deck, right? Because it's just so busted. The goblin draws, right? Putting you at like -30. -37 only. Yeah. Man, that's what Krenko and Muxus can do when they have haste. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna keep this. We need to draw lands, but we're on the draw against... It looks like we're against auras. Yeah, we'll do it. I think we're good just to drop a green mana here. Don't necessarily need to have double white at any point. Okay, no, this is the Thoughtseize deck, the red-black Arcanist thing. Okay. So we are going to say put down the Mentor. no attack. Now they're going to kill Conclave Mentor and then flash it back to kill... Oh. Okay. Shock on the Mentor? No. They just want to give haste. Okay, no haste, no attacks. Interesting. Interesting. Alright, let's play this and go to attacks. Make this a 3/3. No attacks. We really would like to get a black mana, or really just any mana. Okay, that's fine. As long as we draw a black mana, we'll be fine. Now they attack, or no. They got to attack with the Arcanist, right? To kill the Serpent, I would think. Are they going to kill the Aspirant, I wonder? Yeah, it's the Serpent. Okay. So we take one. Dang it. Ugh, boy, having a tough time with this deck, huh? Okay, what are they flashing back here? Oh boy, this is gonna be terrible. Yep, we're just never gonna draw this land, it would seem. Great. Enjoy casting a 3-mana kill spell on my Luminarch Aspirant. Oh my gosh. Hey, day late and $1 short. Thanks for nothing. Well, let's see if they make a mistake here. Maybe they do. Who knows? Only the village rights to flash back unless they have something in hand that we don't know about, which is always possible with this deck. We have no way to exile their graveyard whatsoever, which is probably a big problem with this deck in general. Claim back the supplier, make their graveyard even huger. Yeah, we're just done for. Wow, they even run Priest, which is really not very good in this deck at all. Yep, and now they're going to flash back the claim. Oh, okay. That's interesting. That's their only sack outlet that I'm aware of. Yeah, we're going to attack that. Well, this is just so much fun. So much fun. Yep, burst that, and then the village rights to kill that. Oh, they did it in the wrong order. Well, it's not going to matter, because they've got a bajillion tokens anyway. Nope, that's okay. Don't need to. I'm gonna be dead anyway, so it's fine. Okay, so what do we do here? What's the most efficient use of mana? This tapped, this. I mean, there's no point. Let's just pack it in. Yeah, we have all the colors we need, so definitely keeping this. Probably lead on the Blooming Marsh or the Forest. The Forest. They might get confused, think we're mono green for a second. Yeah, this. And then skip all that. Alright, so Simic Flash, it looks like. What do we do against Simic Flash? I think we just get our Stone Coil countered. Okay, not Simic Flash. Or they just have something that they're gonna play here. EOT, Growth Spiral. No. Okay, Titan. So, Simic Ramp, not Simic Flash. Could be the deck that's been going around. I'm planning to play it next week. The Paradox Engine one? Well, let's see. If they go for black with this Fable Passage, then it's obvious what they're doing, right? They're just doing the Sultai thing. Oh, Bant? Okay, that's interesting. Oh, we should have played the Temple Garden and paid the life, but that's alright. Get Swarm Shambler out next turn, maybe. Yeah, we want to kind of pace our threats anyway. Okay, so they're leaving up a Shark Typhoon, clearly. What do we want to do? Do we want the Oran Reef Ooze down? I think we do. See what they say to that. Question is, where does our counter go if we get it? Looks like they're going to counter this. They're holding up. Yeah. Holding Absorb? Sure. Then let's pay this. If they're countering, then they don't have the second white for the sweeper. So let's get in as hard as we can right now. Yeah, they definitely don't have the second white if they're Urowing and trying to look for it. Alright, well, we need to get them dead as soon as possible, so let's try to do that. Okay, there's the second white that they needed, so they're going to wipe us pretty soon. If they're going to wipe us, then we probably want Grakmaw to get something back to put counters on with Aspirant. We're not going to use the Swarm Shambler, let's just attack with everything. Alright, so board wipe, we get a 4/4. And then this plus this puts them at 1. So they'll immediately have to have another one. Yeah, I guess we'll play that out. Alright, so second board wipe and we lose. Seems like it's pretty likely here, the second one. If they're going so far as to run Cleansing Nova, then they already have Wrath of God as a 4/0. Oh, okay. The opponent did not have it. Sometimes they don't have the second one. So it's a great example of how Grakmaw can help you out in this deck. Little bit of insurance against board wipes. Okay, we have all the colors that we need. We're just missing one of our token, or one of our counter increasers, like a Winding Constrictor or a Conclave Mentor, but I think we still have to keep this because it's a pretty good hand. Even if we're missing one of those crucial cards, we'll hope to draw it. And we are on the draw again, so we'll get that extra chance to look for it. Okay, so it looks like we're against either Mono Blue or maybe Rogues. Wind Robber says Rogue, so I'm going to go ahead and guess that. And if it is Rogues, then it's the non-Loris version. Yeah. So this is the one that has... oh, what's it called? The old... Nighthawk Scavenger and the one that, oh, what does it do? Zareth-san gets permanents out of your graveyard. Now we don't really have great permanents for them to get, so sort of advantage us, but yeah. And Stone Coil is going to be hexproof protection from their drown in the lock as well. Oh, the black bloom rogue. Well, doesn't that look good here? Isn't that a good looking card here? Courtyard, because it comes in untapped. Get one on each of these. That's good stuff. We can technically play this Swarm Shambler, but we're not going to, right? We're just going to get in. Yeah, kill whatever you want. I care not at all. Alright, so we have all the mana that we need. All the mana that we could ever need, really. Let's hope they get aggressive here and make a mistake. That's good. That's good for us. Okay. So we need this to be a 4/4 to make Pelt Collector bigger. And maybe hang on to the Swarm Shambler. Well, it's interesting. Yeah, we're not going to use our creature mana sources here because we want to attack with them. It's kind of one of the things that makes Rishkar a bit tough in this deck is, like, we want to attack all the time. Okay, sure. Let's do it. Take a 8. Go to 5. Let's rumble. Let's race. I like racing. Do you like racing, opponent? That was a very poor attack with their Black Bloom Rogue. Okay, they get our Stone Coil, but nothing else. No, you can't attack with that, opponent. That would be a poor attack. Alright, let's just play stuff out and start growing it. This way, if they want to double block our Pelt Collector, we get a counter on our other Pelt Collector. Yeah, so Rishkar is not really a very good attack here. But this Pelt Collector is dope. And they cannot sacrifice their... yeah. Alright, so we don't get to grow the Swarm Shambler this turn. But we are feeling okay. As long as they don't draw like a Xerath or a Nighthawk Scavenger, because this is the bigger version of the deck, obviously, with the Black Bloom Rogue in there. They also don't have any of their key creatures, like their 1-drop, the Thieves Guild, or the 2-drop, the really good 2-drop that basically made this into a deck, Soaring Thought Thief. That card, like, single-handedly made this a deck. Although, you know, Thieves Guild was, like, a really important plant. They put in, what was it, in M21 or something? Yeah, I think it was an M21. The Thieves Guild Enforcer was a really, really cool plant. Because when Thieves Guild came out, everyone was like, what's going on? Why is there this random, weird, rare rogue? And then, you know, when Ikoria finally rolled around, we got it. Or no, I guess the Rogues deck was in Zendikar Rising, was it? I don't know. I gotta check the set symbol. Let's see. Yeah, Zendikar Rising it was in. My fault, not Ikoria. Okay, so the opponent did not have any of the big creatures that we were scared of. And that puts us to Platinum rank. So we're back with Abzan counters, and I had a lot of fun playing this deck this week. Honestly, I love it when this deck goes off. I love to get like 3 of your counter increasing creatures, like, you know, you get like a couple of Winding Constrictor and a Conclave Mentor, and you just end up with this board of ridiculously large creatures. So although we didn't really get to see much of that today because I didn't have any of those crazy draws, that did happen to me at least once over the course of the week, and I probably played about 20 or 30 games with the deck this week. Not quite as many as I often do with the deck of the week that's featured. But I was just overall impressed with the ability of the deck to go tall and simultaneously go wide. But, you know, there are some problems with the deck. It really lacks any kind of counterplay in best of one. The deck being from the Arena GG website does have a sideboard, but I had kind of messed it up just mostly for the fact of trying to have fun with it. But I don't necessarily think that there's anything here other than the obligatory Graph Digger's Cage, and a couple of Scavenging Ooze, which you could probably honestly just main deck the Scavenging Ooze if you wanted something to be good against graveyards. And then, you maybe cut like a Collected Company or a couple of Bosri's Lieutenant if you really don't like Bosri's Lieutenant as a card. But I mean, I've been fine with it. I've been enjoying it. And I think what was one thing that was really on display during this set of games in particular was Grakmaw being a nice little defense against board wipes, giving you something to rebuild with right away that's going to be available to attack with the following turn. Same thing with Bosri's Lieutenant, although that one is one that's it's a little bit better against 1-for-1 removal, although it does obviously work pretty well if there's a board wipe. And I think, Luminarch Aspirant just being kind of a solid 2-drop in this deck alongside the others. One card that I'm not really happy with is Swarm Shambler, although it does go well with the theme, and you do obviously get to put a counter on it as soon as it comes in. I just feel like it has this tension that a lot of the rest of the deck has, where you don't want to be tapping your creatures other than for attacking with them, because they don't often have vigilance. So, for example, like the only vigilance creature in the deck is Bosri's Lieutenant. So, like, theoretically, if we have a counter on it and we have like a Rishkar out, then we might be able to kind of attack with it, use the vigilance, and then use it for mana after combat. But that's the only creature that we might even be able to do that with. Swarm Shambler, we really are never going to get a chance to put that extra counter on it, because if we're not attacking, we're probably dead. This is the type of aggro deck that really wants to go 1-2-3 and doesn't have time when doing those 1-2-3 drops to actually stop and like tap a Swarm Shambler. It's just you're not going to have time for that. So I think that's one card that I would look to improve on. Although again, it does have a +1 counter on it, so it goes with the theme of the deck. I think this is a really interesting example of a deck that definitely wants to use some of the fast lands and definitely wants to have at least one of the pathways. This deck will improve significantly, I think, when you can cut some of the pain lands. You can cut some of the shock lands, rather, for some of the new pathways that are coming out in Kaldheim. Like, obviously, you'll get the green-black one. This one, in this deck in particular, you have such various mana requirements, you might honestly not want to put too many pathways in and just go with fast lands. But that's another area of the deck that I might look to trim. Maybe like cut a single Godless Shrine for an extra Concealed Courtyard and just kind of tweak the mana base in favor of those fast lands and those pathways, because this is a deck that can really take advantage of the mana being untapped and really wants its mana to be untapped. Overall, again, I just feel like this is a deck that is very well suited for best of one, and especially well suited for grinding ladder, because it just plays quickly. When the games are over, and they don't last for more than 5 minutes, hardly ever. If the game is going long with this deck, then you are losing because you have not killed the opponent very quickly. This is really an Abzan aggro deck at heart, I feel. Well, just as we start to wrap up the feature this week, I want to thank everybody who's been watching this whole time. I know that you're out there because you're posting in the comments, you're liking the video. So thank you very much. And so a little bit of a reward for you who've been sticking around, because now the quality has upgraded slightly. Of course, you still have to deal with my silly narration for all the games. But you've stuck around this long, so I deeply appreciate it. And I just want to say thank you very much to the watchers and the people who have been commenting and people who have been liking and retweeting and things like that, people who follow me on Twitter. So it's deeply appreciated, and I've noticed it. It's just in the midst of all the things that are going on, it's hard to stop and say thank you. So this is a good time of year as we start to wind down the calendar, just to say thank you very much for being a viewer. It matters deeply to me. And now that I have some slightly upgraded equipment, you can look to have some better quality videos in the future. So, first the upgrades to the computer system, and now, in the long run, hopefully upgrades to my ability to narrate the games, because I'm not, feeling sort of frustrated or self-conscious about the low frame rates and just the whole game sticking up and holding up all the time. Although obviously it's Arena, so there's always time for that. So if you were following me on Twitter, I did post some updates as I was building the machine over the last couple days. So I'll be happy to, and I probably will in future videos, post in the description a little bit about the new machine that I have here. So if you're interested in that, check the description for next week's video during the week that is upcoming. I will be able to rewrite the descriptions and get the specs in there for our next episode. So big thanks to Greg Mullen, who is my best friend, who helped me build the machine and kind of was in a lot of ways the inspiration for building it, because he's built 3 PCs himself. So here I am trying to, live up to gamer standards, true gamer standards, and trying to get that, trying to get the video a little bit better quality for you, and a little bit higher frame rate, I think, this week, just ever so slightly better quality. Well, so we didn't get to have any kind of crazy going off games with the deck, but if you pick it up and you try playing it in best of 1, I think you're going to find that, every 1 game in 10, every 1 game in 20, you end up just beating down with this deck in such a real way. And like I said, I did have a turn 4 kill with this deck just because of hitting, actually I think it might have been a turn 5 kill, but, turn 5 win just because of hitting, Collected Company on end of turn 4 into my turn 5, starting it out with Collected Company in main phase 1. That was just such a devastating turn of events with this deck. And, whether you're putting more Winding Constrictors and Conclave Mentors on the board, or just putting out creatures that add counters to themselves, or other creatures like Rishkar, Basri's Lieutenant, some of the other creatures out there, it's just, you're going to have some very massive creatures with this deck, and you're going to beat down the opponent. The only thing you really worry about with this deck is, recursive threats. So Kroxa, Uro, they're a huge problem most of the time. And then, you also worry, obviously, about the control opponents with their board wipes. But overall, kind of a lot of fun, and something that I think, is never really going to be in the top tier of the metagame, but one that I think you could definitely grind ladder with. And, it brought me up to platinum through the last rank of gold. So something that, could do the same for you if that's kind of a similar position for where you're at. You're looking to just grind out that last level of a tier, that last tier of a level, rather. Well, that's going to do it for this week, and we're going to look forward to seeing you on the next feature. This is Evil Empire, signing out.